गुरु ऐसे विनय दे दे, गुणगान करूं तेरा। इस बालक के सर पे गुरु हाथ रहे तेरा। गुरु ऐसे विनय दे दे, गुणगान करूं तेरा। इस बालक के सिर पे
I hope you will repeat as I speak. Om Namo Arihantanam, Om Namo Siddhanam, Om Namo Arihantanam, Om Namo Siddhanam, Om Namo Ayariyanam, Om Namo Pujyayanam, Om Namo Ayariyanam, Om Namo Pujyayanam, Namo Loye Savasahonam, Eso Pancha Namo Karo, Namo Loye Savasahonam, Eso Pancha Namo Karo, Sabba Pava Padasana Mangalanam Jaya Savese, Sabba Pava Padasana Mangalanam Jaya Savese, Adamam Havai Mangalam, Om Namo Arihantanam, Adamam Havai Mangalam, Om Namo Arihantanam. Well, think and learn something about the spiritual life or the true life of human being, or for that purpose any living creature. We will start by associating it with this Namaskar mantra. Just now we recited the mantra and paid our obeisance to the lords or the five Parameshtis. Now let us come to know, let's try to understand why do we chant the name of these holy persons. Who are they? The Jinas say that In the spiritual evolution of the soul, there are many stages. There are many stages, just as we have come up in the lift. The lift has come on the first floor and the second floor and the third floor. We climb down on the sixth floor. Like that, when we evolve ourselves, our true self, how do we do it? By increasing our knowledge, by increasing our faith, and by developing our character. Now, these 5 Parmeshtis or the 5 Lords, we have bowed down, we have paid our homage to them because we have not, paid respect to any person. These 5 are not persons, but these 5 are positions. Suppose now this is America. Once upon a time there was Roosevelt, who was the president. Then there was Eisenhower, who was the president. Then there was Kennedy, and now there is Reagan. No Roosevelt or Eisenhower or Kennedy or Reagan is important, but the important is the presidentship is important because it is the duty of the president to see that the country becomes happy and well managed in every way. So the homage or the special respect is for that particular place, that particular post, which is open to all Americans. Anyone can become president provided he works out for it. Like that, the Arihant, the Siddha, these 2 are the highest persons in the universe. They are, well, I think if we go a little, there is no problem. They are having knowledge of march on the path of spiritual development. And today, in short, we will talk about the path which Bhagavan Mahavir and all the great saints of the world have followed in order to evolve their soul, in order to put an end to the mundane existence and to have an eternal existence consisting of infinite bliss, infinite knowledge and infinite life. This may sound a little theoretical to you for a while, but it is so. Starting from below, what should we do first if we want to have a true spiritual growth? Well, first of all, we should have, first 2 things are, company of the holy and the noble persons. We should try to remain, we should try to keep the company of those persons whose life is pure, whose life is straightforward, whose life is compassionate, whose life is knowledgeable. That we can call the company of the noble, the company of the wise. Of course, these are the words. The original word cannot be translated into English. The word is satsang. Satsang. The company of the noble, the company of the wise. That is one way by which we can get the inspiration by direct visual perception as well as by his teachings and by seeing the day-to-day activities of his life as to how he eats, how he drinks, how he sleeps, whether how he reads, how he meditates, how he gives reverence to his master, how he does puja, how he practices non-violence, etc. In satsang, we have a direct perception and the opportunity to learn the living, spiritually enlightened soul. The living, spiritually enlightened soul. So, the first step for our spiritual development is the company of such noble spiritual people. But not all men can get the company of good people, because in this era the company of the noble and the wise is a rarity, because the good things, many good things have disappeared from or have become very much less in the world. Likewise, good men in the world are few, noble men in the world are few, and these are not only noble, highly spiritualized souls, highly evolutionized souls. They are extremely rare to obtain. So then the next question comes, suppose sir we don't get the company of noble people, what should we do? Then the next best is the teaching. If we are not able, if we are not lucky enough, if we don't have that fortune to remain in the company and to obtain the company of those wise, we have the sublime teachings which have been written down in various languages of the world. Many of them are now available in English. Originally, most of them have been written in Prakrit or Sanskrit or Hindi. That's the present national language of India. But not, I don't talk about the present in Hindi language. I'm talking about the Hindi language 300 years back, 400 years back, or 200 years back. So, second choice. To form the habit of regular scriptural reading, and not only reading. Reading is not important, reading is only the first step. We speak in our Mangalacharan. Bhavabhit bhavik je bhane bhave sune samaje shraddhahe. To hear the sermons from the holy ones, to read the holy sermons which have been written in the scriptures, to understand their verbal meaning, then to understand their true meaning, then to ponder over the meaning which has been understood by us, and then by absorbing and imbibing the holy meaning of the teachings of those great men, our life become also holy. That is the law of the world also. Suppose there is lot of dust on this floor, and if I walk without the shoes, my legs, my feet also will be, become dirty, because the dust will attach itself to the feet. So if we, with an open mind and with an open heart, and with a view to our sublimity, means with a view to obtain holiness, purity, and to evolve our life, if we read their books, if we read their teachings, and if we can understand and appreciate the meaning thereof, naturally the effect of those divine teachings will gradually purify our soul. Our anger will get less, our pride will get less, our deceitful nature will gradually disappear, and our greed also will subdue itself. and we will have a life which will then be more and more pious, more and more virtuous, more and more true spiritual. Two things we have talked about. Company of the wise and the noble, and the reading and the understanding of their sublime teachings. Now, we will like to introspect ourselves. You may ask, how can we know that a particular person is a true spiritual man or a true spiritual being? How can we know that? Because we know only the outer things. He has the same body as ours. He may have changed his clothes a little bit here and there, but we don't accept his spirituality. Then you will have to analyze his life by several criteria. The first criteria is true spiritualism is directly proportional to the amount of selflessness and universal love that one has developed in his day-to-day life. Spiritualism means his life should be selfless as far as is possible. He has no personal ambition. His personal requirements are not many. He has a simple living and high thinking, not in speech but in his day-to-day life. So the selflessness and selflessness results automatically in universal love. His love is not limited to a particular individual, a particular sect, a particular community or a particular group of people. It is universal, it is international, and it stands true for all times. Because truth is not the monopoly or registered trademark of any person or any particular community or particular nationality. Truth is universal. Truth is international. Truth can be practiced at all times, and truth can be practiced in all places. Though place may have some effect on us, that's a different thing. So one thing we decided, that spirituality will be judged by this selflessness and by the universal love and friendship that one has developed in one's life. Second, what is the second criteria on which we can judge as to whether one is spiritual truly? Then the sinful activities in his life will be reduced to a minimum. The sinful activities in his life will be reduced to the minimum possible. Or, as Gurudev says, practice of ahimsa in its multifaceted forms. Ahimsa, violence, is the biggest sin. There are others also, you know. Speaking lie, and stealing, and non-celibacy, and lot of desires, possessions. All these are also sins. But so many have been enumerated by the great masters. I will not like to bother you with the innumerable ones they have enumerated. One thing is selflessness and universal love. Second thing is reduction of the sinful activities in one's life. And now the third thing which comes is little subtle, not likely to be understood and appreciated easily. It is the state of equanimity and divine bliss in which the person always remains as a result of the great self-knowledge, self-realization, wisdom, and we call it pragya or samadhi. We call it pragya, the super intuitional intellect. It may sound contradictory. Sumati. So the third thing is the equanimity with which he lives his life, so that he is always in a state of true happiness. In other words, in day-to-day language, he is not upset easily. Do what you like. You may speak bad words for him. You may give him a slap. You may insult him. You may say he is all the words you can use for an ordinary man. But he says, well, call what you like. I am what I am. I am not going to change by you calling me like this or like that. That is true in the world also. This is a watch, and this watch consists of a steel plate. Now suppose all of us just now say, opine and shout loudly that this watch is of gold, this watch is of gold, this watch is of gold. Will it become gold? Everyone is shouting, it must become gold. See, everyone is shouting. It's not like that. It will not become gold. It will remain what it is. Like that is the life of the true spiritual masters. We may tell, we may call them whatever we think about them, but they are what? And what they are? Mainly there are two things in their life. Their life is devoted only to two things: enhancement of divine knowledge and enhancement of supersensuous bliss. This is their life. This is their life. What is their life? Their life is enhancement of true divine knowledge and enhancement and experience of supersensuous bliss. Difficult to comprehend, that is why I have kept it last. But it is so. Happiness without body, happiness without senses, happiness without the objects of senses, happiness without reading books, happiness without worshipping God, happiness without doing any act of body, mind or speech. And that is the highest. That is how Bhagavan Mahavir in his life left the palace. Also you know about the great Buddha. Bhagavan Buddha, he also left his palace. He left all the worldly comforts. He left all the kingdom and everything, the so-called sources of happiness. They were alone. They had no external objects of obtaining happiness or any creature comfort. And still they rose to the height. They rose to the height which even today beckons our path, which today even lights the path of our life. As Longfellow says, lives of great men all remind us to make our lives sublime. But if we follow the footprints of their life, then alone we have the right and we have the ability to attain to the supreme virtues and the divine virtues, and the rishis, the great ones say, yatah vacho nivartante aprapya manasasam. Having not comprehended which the mind along with the speech returns, that is the abode of the divine. Some of you may think, oh, you are not able to describe the happiness, and that is why you say that it is not possible to express that happiness in language, but it's not like that. Bhagavan himself has said, Je pad Shri Sarvagne Dithu Jnanama Kahi Shakya Nahi Padte Shri Bhagavan Jo Teh Swarup Ne Anya Vani Te Shu Kahe Anubhav Gochar Matra Rahute Jnana Jo. Well, they have given you the example at the intellectual level. There was a dumb man. He was dumb by birth. He never spoke, or he never could speak a single word in his life. Somebody gave him a very, very tasty food, and then he ate the food. Everyone asked him, how do you think is the taste of the food? How do you think is the taste of the food? Tell us, tell us. He will say. And he will say, He's not telling us what is the taste of the food. He is unable to speak because the speech cannot reach there. Means this is only an example that in spite of the fact that he has tasted the food, he is not able to express it. Well, it is, the cause is very different. The cause is his inability to speak. But this is only an example to understand that the spiritual happiness and the equanimous state which the great ones have experienced in their life is unique, not unique, the highest ever possible in the universe. The highest ever possible in the universe. I'm quite with you. Suppose somebody says, if I have $10 million, I will be happy. If I have a wife which does whatever I say, I will be happy. If I have sons and daughters, I will be happy. If I have lots of gold and diamonds, I will be happy. Or if somebody says, if I have a lot of disciples, I will be happy. Or if somebody says, if I have a lot of temples, I will be happy. Or if somebody says, if I have a lot of scriptural knowledge, I will be happy. That is not the source of true bliss. The true happiness comes from within. It does not come from external objects of the world, nor does it come only from the scriptural knowledge. Scriptural knowledge is good. Scriptural knowledge is to be respected. Scriptural knowledge inspires us to live a holy life. But the knowledge which is obtained at the intellectual level, unless it is transformed at the intuitional level, it has not reached its climax. It is not yet true happiness. It's difficult to put these things in words. Kabir ji and Banarsi Das ji have said, Pothi pad pad jag muwa pandit bhayan koi, dhai akshar prem ke padhe so pandit ho. You have read and mastered hundreds and thousands of books in several languages, but still you have not become a true scholar. You will become a true scholar if you know only the 2.5 words of divine love. Divine love in that language is known as prema. Pa, ma and ra half. Prem. 2.5 words of prem will make you a true spiritual saint, and not hundreds of books on the tip of your tongue, or several languages, Sanskrit, Prakrit, Hindi, Greek, Latin, French, English, etc. And to start with, we had already said, their equanimity, the tranquility of their mind, the serenity of their life has sprung from within. It does not end. And that is why at the end of their present life, I reside in this body. Just as the people of the world reside in their bungalows or in their houses, where do I reside? I reside in this house. I have rented it, but I don't know for how many years I have rented it. I give the rent twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening. But I don't know when I will be kicked out of this house. But it is sure that I am going to be kicked out of this house, whether it's a decade, 2, 3, 4 or 5. It's not the matter of my present knowledge. But the matter which is in my capacity, what I can do just now is, when I have to vacate this house, I can take with me all my belongings and shed off this house and give it to the owner. Or what I wanted to drive here was that at the end of their life, a true spiritual saint takes his spiritual property along with him in the next birth, so that he continues his journey towards the eternal till he is perfected. That is known as Samadhi Maran, the sublime death. But it is not the death, it is the evacuation, voluntary, peaceful evacuation of the present body for further journey to the ultimate emancipation. So these are the three ways in which we can understand, try to understand, estimate or approximate, if you want to say, the spirituality that has been developed in a particular person or an individual. Lastly, Gurudev must have talked to you, he always talks to you about how to enter this path. We have said the company of the noble people and the true study of good scriptures, which will open the third eye. These two eyes are false because they see only the skin and the bones and the flesh and the light. All these are the boxes, but the diamond is inside. Each of these box contains the diamond. If I am a true spiritual person, I will look at the diamond. I will not look at the boxes, because the boxes cost only maybe $50 or $100, but the diamond inside costs thousands and thousands of dollars. That's important. It's the diamond which is more costly and which is the real content of the box. You don't want the box. The box is not so important, so. Even if you give me a diamond without a box, I will accept it. You keep the box and give me the diamond. All right? Huh? A true merchant will do that. He says, you keep the box and give me the diamond. So a wise person says, ठीक है. This is just a vehicle. This is just a vehicle for our onward march towards eventual emancipation. But the true diamond, that means, the soul, the one who sees these are the windows, this is the door, these are the windows to which I see you. You said, we look through the eyes. That's right, you look through the eyes. But the eyes are not looking. The eyes are only the windows. Suppose we look out from here. Is it the window which is looking outside, or it is we who are looking outside? We look the outside world through the window. Like that I look at all of you or the world through the windows which are known as the eyes. But I am separate from the eyes. I am separate from the body. I am separate from the speech. I am separate from these respirations. Oxygen going in, carbon dioxide and other things coming out. And I am in essence separate from even the thoughts which are cropping up in my mind at every moment. You naturally like to ask, then what are you? If all these things are not you, what are you? I am that source from where the thoughts come. What am I? I am that eternal source from which flow the incessant flow of the thoughts. That is my true self. And that is what you are not going to burn or bury when the life processes in this body stop. You will burn this body. You will bury this body, but not me. I will live and go according to my karmas or my bhavas. So this, in short, we have tried to understand what should we do for spiritual development, the company of the noble and the regular study of the scriptures. Then how to know that somebody is a true spiritual being, that we have tried to understand. Who is my true self? That we have tried to understand. And now, one or two things and then we finish. One thing you are hearing it every day. Gurudev has made a poem out of it. The four bhavanas. The friendship with the whole living world. An aptitude for the virtuous. Respect for the virtuous. The third thing, to be moved by seeing others in distress, try to help them in whatever way we can. And the last, in these days, most of the people in the world are so materialistic everywhere, in the whole world, that they don't like to accept the existence of good things, holy things, God, Pap, Punya, and Moksha, that is emancipation. They don't like saints. They don't like any good things. When we come across some people like this, who are very, very large, 99.59123. Even more. 1 in million only loves higher values of life. He has respect for good things in his life. When we come across them, we become neutral with them. We don't argue with them. We don't hate them. We don't look down upon them. We say, if you like this, you may accept. If you don't like, well and good. Do what you like. We have no enmity towards anybody in the world. I have no enemy in the universe. I have no enemy in the world. I have love for everyone. Whether you agree with me or whether you disagree with me. Even if you give me maltreatment, I am going to remain your friend. So, these 4 bhavanas, Gurudev always teaches you, which is the very basis for developing aptitude for higher things in life. I think perhaps we will probably stop the talk at this juncture because the path of Ratnatraya is technical details, difficult for me to put and for you to understand. But in general, we have already covered the meaning which is contained in the path of Ratnatraya, because the technical terminology is so vivid and sometimes so complicated that we cannot have English words for expressing it, and the talk will become rather tedious and non-understandable, which we don't wish. So with this little talk, any questions are there, we would like to answer, or whatever is